The Philosopher's Stone was the central symbol of the mystical terminology of alchemy, symbolizing perfection and, at its finest, divine illumination and heavenly bliss. Efforts to discover the Philosopher's Stone were known as the magnum opus, great work. For many centuries, the Philosopher's Stone was the most sought-after goal in alchemy. It is a mythic alchemical substance capable of turning base metals such as mercury into gold or silver, also known as the tincture and the powder. The alchemists also believed that it could be used to make an elixir of life, which they believed that rejuvenation and immortality were made possible. In a nutshell, the base metals were seen as the base chakra, and the rise up the chakras to the golden or silver metal symbolized the spiritual path or processes where one ascends the chakras to one's innate Christ consciousness or God self, and just like the Bible dictates. The Gnostics leave the prison or the material world behind as one enters the gates of heaven to commence one's eternal existence within one's afterlife. Philosophical zombies. What is a philosophical zombie? The answer being, someone that can appear philosophical, but they lack a conceptual mind. They see with a rational mindset, 2 + 2 = 4, or C follows B and B follows A. They can be anything from ticket inspectors, mathematicians to doctors, and even philosophers, in that, they are unable to think outside the box or beyond their rationale and training. There was a friend of mine who went to clean his balcony and caught avian mites from pigeons' feces. 2 weeks later he developed symptoms which he thought was a reaction from the avian mites being in his body. His skin had mold blotches, so he went straight to his doctors and told him about it, and also showed him the symptoms, and his doctor stamped his authority like the good Lord to his bondsman and told him that he should change his washing powder. After a while, when the symptoms persisted, he visited the doctors again, where he saw another doctor who said that he had scabies and gave him some cream. A few days later the medication proved to be ineffective, so he went to the chemist and bought some lotion for lice, and that night as he went to bed he covered his body in it. When he awoke, his sheets were covered in carcasses that to the naked eye looked like soot or miniature fleas. So he gathered them up in a container and he took them to the doctors, where he saw yet another doctor who looked at his record and reinstated that he had scabies, and she threw his evidence in the bin. It was around this time that the body stopped reacting, or the critters had adapted or evolved and they could not be seen. So therefore, because good old Galileo, who replaced language with mathematics and logic, because language is ambiguous, so therefore if they can't be measured or calculated they no longer existed. So he went to his doctor and asked to see a specialist, and when he did he said that it was a nerve condition. He went to the accident and emergency hospital because the creatures had no boundaries throughout his body and had penetrated his ears. It was horrific and unbearable, and the doctor that he saw proclaimed that it was his mind. Further, his local GP with her rational mind said that he should go to see a vet, and he thought that it was a parody, and they both laughed. However, he thought he would give it a try, so he went to a birds museum that was local to him. He took him some samples from the showers so as he could examine them, and he took photographs and then wrote to my friend's doctor that he had detected eggs, but because they are birds' mites, they will take a bite or two and they will hop off and trot on because they don't eat humans' blood, stating that they were avian mites. It had been 2 years with no resolution, that through desperation that my friend declared that he will have to go through the legal system if nothing was done, and suddenly the specialist said that he had a colleague in London, and when he saw him, the London specialist told him that he believed him and that he was in safe hands. He had special photographs taken with different lights and they could detect the creatures. And he was prescribed with antimicrobial cream for his skin, shampoo for his hair, and risperidone for his blood, and 18 years later he has reached the conclusion that the shampoo and skin cream kills the mites but does not kill them all. Because under the surface of the skin they continue to feed and breed, and it has been 18 years and it seems to have no end. The resolution being that if the first doctor had listened to him and prescribed antimicrobial cream in the first place, which he could have easily obtained from the chemist, the subsequent issues and horrific situation would have never occurred. However, the ongoing situation, that he will most luckily endure them until his death, is because the philosophical zombies' mindsets and mannerisms, i.e., they deal with measurements and calculations, not feelings and experiences, and they have the inability to conceptualize because they are fully functional rational beings and nothing more, because their upbringing and conditioning. Now, just like those doctors, it is the same for all walks of life, in that the philosophical zombies who are blind and ignorant to the true grand plan consciousness, intuitive feelings, and one's spiritual awareness, that they don't calculate or logically ascertain our minds or our souls. Because of the social system and the nations and global governing bodies who create their laws from their beliefs, which are from their greedy rational thinking mindsets, we are all kept in the dark as the blind lead the blind, and one's true purpose is to break the mold and ascertain one's spiritual freedom and integrity, and then, at one's final crossing, one creates, adorns, and enters eternal matter. There are two ways to utilize the subsequent spiritual philosophy. The former is that esoteric and the other is exoteric in nature. The consequences of these alternative mindsets is that the former portrays a Gnostic path to enlightenment and heaven, and the latter is used as a political tool to suppress the public for their own good, and also as a war machine to do battle with the alternative or potential diverse and adverse power-ridden civilizations that may or may not rise up against them. In my Father's house. What was the meaning of Jesus' phrase in the Bible, "In my Father's house there are many rooms"? Was it that he accepts all religions into heaven as long as they are in harmony with the essence of his teachings? Or is he expressing the different dimensions of his Father's house, that being, of the earth, limbo, purgatory, and heaven? Or did he mean that the many autonomous fractions of Christianity that exist in the world are all welcome in heaven? Is heaven even spiritual, or is it physical? If the latter, then forget my previous questions and check out my subsequent questions. Did he mean that heaven is in earth's future after Judgment Day, or that there are many Christian churches on the earth? Or was Jesus simply saying to his disciples that there was plenty of room in his Father's house for everyone, so don't get stressed out about his leaving, as he was only going to prepare a place for them in heaven? Why did the Christians change it from rooms to mansions? Was it in reference of heaven transcending from followers to faiths? No matter how you look at it. Alternative religions. Different dimensions. Christian autonomous fractions. Many churches on the earth. Room and spiritual freedom for all of us when we are in heaven. Be it in a spiritual existence in the hereafter, or in corporeal immortal flesh in the earth's future. They are all paradoxical unless the path is walked with an unconditional, ever-loving, honest, open heart. For this is the true path that fundamentally and successfully leads all to heaven, home and/or spiritual utopia, to live, work, rest and play and bathe in the totality of God's unconditional love, peace and everlasting supernal wisdom, where we, the Ethereans, live happily ever after.